3:32, and our first order of business is the minutes from our last meeting. Is there any discussion about the meeting minutes? Do I?
No.
Oh, I thought, okay, is there a movement to, what is the word? I'm so tired right now.
Motion, yes.
Motion
Thank
to
you.
approve.
Motion, right. I knew it had to do with moving somehow. And is there a second?
Second.
And would all those in favor just raise your hand? Okay, and that is unanimous. So thank you so much. We
Let
actually-
me just note, sorry, I usually send, when we do this vote, I usually
Right.
send the minutes, but I'm not going to be able to because for some reason my my email would not let me copy. I was going to copy Ann's minutes into, I keep a file of all the minutes for all the years I've been doing this, and it wouldn't let me copy. So I can't send them, Ann, but if you just shoot them off to Grace, you know,
Okay.
town clerk at choose whatever, that'll work.
That would be
Okay,
Shutesbury.
thanks, Christine.
And I'm taking them now, obviously.
Okay, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Christine,
So
do you want them sent to you so that you can open them?
Sorry?
Do you want them sent to you so that
No,
you can?
I was able to read them. My email is so weird. Anyway, it just, this time it would not let me copy any of it.
Got
I
it.
could read them.
Got it.
Mhm.
Okay.
So, okay, minutes approved.
Christine, I'm gonna CC you on that email too, just so.
Okay, great. Yeah, maybe I'll be
Oh,
able to.
good idea.
I like keeping the record of everything, so.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, it's really great. All of our minutes are there, except for something going back many, many years. I was looking at the ones that are missing and decided that, well, I don't know how to get at them at this point, but we're certainly up to date and have been for some years. So we have a fairly short agenda today, and I'm guessing that we won't need the whole time. And I'm also going to propose that we not meet in July. I don't think we're going to have any activities. Yeah, nobody's like, but I like meeting so much. So first order of business is simply to review the activities of the past year. We talked a little bit about them last time, but we had the 3 major activities. And probably something that I'm not remembering, but we had the farm tour, we had the invasive plant guy, AKA Brian, and we had the field day. And it sounds like all 3 of those are things that we're going to be doing some kind of follow-up with, which gets into fall 2022 activities, but also spring for the family field day. So I don't know whether anybody has any comments about any of those activities, things we might want to think about doing differently as we move forward with any of them, especially the 2 that would be in the fall, which would be the farm one and the invasive plants.
Can somebody just give me a little recap on the field day? Because I wasn't there.
Sure.
I mean, it can just be your impressions or whatever. It doesn't have to be formal. But
Sure.
how did,
So much fun. It
was
was so
great.
much fun.
how many kids came?
We had
A
about
lot.
31 kids
Nice.
and with their
Mhm.
parents. And Mr. Kara is an absolute.
Oh my
gem.
God.
He is such a dear. I was thinking Stephen Kara, Mary Taylor, Stephen Kara, Mary Taylor. And for those of you who knew the difference, I mean, he was wonderful. He had all these activities planned. He had his boombox there. He was leading the kids and doing all kinds of things. And then the high school kids showed up, and one of them just took over right from Stephen. He was
Mhm.
just a natural gym teacher, and
Yeah.
showing the kids how to get out of the starting blocks, how to jump over hurdles. And then the kids were all sitting there watching him, and they said, "We want to see you 2 run." They're
That was funny.
They're
That was great.
twin boys, and they raced off, and it was like everybody just kind of stared at them, but it was wonderful. The kids, I think, had a great time. The parents had a great time. One parent said to me, I never knew this field existed. I'm going to bring my kids here in the summer.
Mhm.
Another parent said they've been in town for what, 18 years, and something like this had never happened, and they loved it. Parents were playing, everybody was playing. It was perfect, absolutely perfect. 2 hours of just plain fun.
Fun.
Elaine, you made me think too. I can't remember her name. I know she's Nature's mother. Does anyone know her name? But she had
Oh,
said to
right.
me, she said, okay, so I was at the farm tour and now I've been at this. So what are you guys doing next?
Right.
So that was really nice. It was just a really nice
That's great.
Did
endorsement.
anybody take pictures?
Yes, I took
Mhm.
pictures.
Uh-huh.
I'll
And I
send-
realized too, I took pictures. I have a great picture, BZ, of Barbara on the blocks.
Oh, me too.
So I need
Oh,
to send
very
those
good.
around.
Those
Very good.
blocks are really, really hard. Like John was saying, he got in it and said, how the hell do you get out of them?
Yeah.
You have to
What is a
jump.
block?
The starting blocks, when the racers get down and they have their feet are back behind them and they're down in a crouch and
Okay,
you
I
jump
believe you.
off. Sprinters jump off from these starting blocks. It's not easy.
No,
Uh-huh.
when I got down in there, I thought, okay, my sole goal at this moment is not to fall on my face. 'Cause I couldn't figure out how you do it without smashing your face into the ground.
No. And the guys were just saying, you just jump. You just jump to
Yeah,
get out of them.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, right.
yeah,
If you're,
right. But the kids were doing it. The kids were
Yeah.
figuring it out. It
yeah.
was cool. It was really cool.
Yeah, one of my favorite interactions I had with someone was one of the kids from the school. She's going into, I think she's going into the middle school next year, but she had wanted to play soccer and now she said, oh, but I loved this. And they were so encouraging her and telling her
Uh-huh.
she was a natural, and she was.
Yeah.
And so I was able to tell her the good news because she thought, oh, now I'm not gonna be able to play soccer, but one is a fall sport and one is a spring sport. So she'll be able to do both. And she was so excited. So it was just a wonderful event on so many levels.
One
So
of
many.
my favorites was I looked back into the woods and there were these two girls and they were sitting there watching. And I went over to them and I said, you could come join us. And they said, oh no, we're 7th graders. And I said, it's okay, you could join us. And Mr. Kara saw them and went, hey, and he called them over and they were playing with him and they were thrilled to be able to do that.
Yeah.
He won't remember us. And it was like, oh yeah, I can tell
Yeah.
that he would. So
Mm, cute,
good
cute.
time was had by all.
So
and
now,
it's
Elaine, you
effort.
mentioned a follow-up Ultimate Frisbee day. So what does that seem like? What would you do around that?
Well, there's a lot of club ultimate teams around town, and pick up ultimate. There's plenty of people who play ultimate, and so I was going to get in touch with the kids, the people, the adults. I guess they're not kids anymore, that I know that play ultimate, and I thought that we could have a time where we would offer them that they could use our field, and then people could come and watch and see how you throw an ultimate disc, how you do the whatever chuck,
The hammer,
chuck,
sir.
the hammer, all those things, and then kind of the rules of the game, and then do a little pickup ultimate for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a great idea.
And I'm sure that we could find it a very inexpensive rate to buy discs,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and we could
Well, it's
give every kid a disc.
And when were you thinking you'd do that? In the fall or the spring?
Good question. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Christine?
EA played Ultimate and they used the Fort River Elementary School
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
field because you need a really long area.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like the schools, they get those discs, they would sell them for like $1. I can't remember. Give the kids
Mhm.
them. I can't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I would suggest that instead of trying to make a decision right now about whether it would be in the fall and the spring, that we think about it and that we revisit it in our August meeting, because we're going to want to kind of nail things down for whatever it is that we're going to do in the fall. Is there anything else anyone wants to say about the things that we did in the last year? So the two things that I had down for fall 2022 would be a follow-up visit to the farm, to Ancient Ponies
Can I
Farm.
ask a question? Just you
Yeah,
said
go for it.
questions about before you go into that. The farm tour and the invasive plant were also done through with the library, correct?
And we're going to do the same thing. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
but the field day was not done through the
That's right.
library.
That was
Okay.
done through the school, with the school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So is that what you're thinking, that would be done with the library again, like both those?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we've already talked, yeah, we've talked about it. I mean, my feeling, and this is something we certainly would need to discuss, is the more things that we can do collaboratively with the library, the better. Or with any other committee. I think that just kind of having this be a place where we bring people in with ideas and help them to realize them and to work collaboratively is really important.
Okay.
Yeah. And so in fact, jumping ahead to fall 2022 activities, Marianne has already been in touch with the invasive plant guy, who really does have a name. I don't think that's his actual name, but that's what I call him. That's what Marianne calls him, so I guess that's who he is now. But he would be very keen to come back out, and I know there's a lot of Japanese knotweed around, and he can help us figure out how to at least make a dent in getting rid of it. But he was very good for those who were there. He was very good. He's just a natural teacher, and he just engaged and involved everybody right from the word get-go. So it'll be great to have him back. Yeah, Christine.
His name's Brian.
Right. Oh, Brian, the invasive plant guy. That must be the last name. Sorry, I'm a little punchy right now. Yeah, Anne.
That was a really good turnout at that event too. And there was
Yeah.
somebody at Field Day who was at that event. So I was talking to him about it. I can't remember his name. All of this makes me wonder, is there an easy way at the end of some of our events, we could have a little questionnaire or feedback, like,
That's a
would
great
you be interested in
idea.
doing more things? And
Mhm.
because it does seem like there's a nice groundswell of interest, and it'd be nice to
Yeah.
keep
Yeah.
up with that.
I'm happy
And-
to make a
Oh.
flyer or something that we could use that, could hand out,
Great.
like, what are you
Mhm.
interested in kind of in future?
Yeah, and
events?
collect it on the spot too.
Yeah,
Mhm. That's great.
that's a good
Would you be
idea.
willing to develop something and then have it for our August meeting?
Sure.
Oh, super. Thank you
Um,
very much.
So I will need to talk to some of you about that, though.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
I can work with you on it, BZ, if you want, or other people
Okay.
too.
Okay, that sounds good.
Great.
Christine, were you gonna say something? Christine or?
Well, the other thing we could do is maybe ask Marianne if we made up a flyer like that, we could leave it
Mm.
at the library on the counter. And when people went in there for library, just
Mhm.
services, they could, fill it out and leave it there too.
Mhm.
So it's not just
Yeah.
an events that people go to, but
We could put up a little box there, a shoebox that they
Yeah.
can put them in.
I'm
All
also
right.
very cognizant of the fact that there's 6 of us. So in thinking about how that would be worded, it's also, because I've been thinking a lot about this, that people come up with ideas. Would people be willing to then, is not just have the idea, here's something I want the 6 of you to do, but to have the idea and work with somebody on the committee to realize.
Yeah, and I was thinking too, as a way to collect feedback.
Yes, yes.
Not just about what you want to do in the future, but feedback
Mhm.
on the events.
yeah, well, it could be both. It could be used.
Yeah.
Yeah.
both.
Mhm.
The other thing that might be good, I mean, because I'm a visual person, I always feel like it might, maybe our rec committee should have a little symbol or a little logo kind of thing
Great.
that gets attached to our events. And then people know that was sponsored by us. And I don't know, that's just me, because I felt like in all the library publicity that went out, the letters and so forth, they needed a graphic. They needed
Mm.
something that would punch, like come up, and I don't know. I just felt like it was way too much text and not enough. There should have been something else in there. But that's just me, because that's what I sort of look
Well,
for.
that was kind of what we were going for when we did the postcards.
Right, those were good, but I'm saying that the flyer that went home, that was just all the info, it was
Yeah.
too
Mhm.
much text and not enough, in my opinion, to
Mhm.
catch people's eyes and to sort of, anyway, and I was just thinking for our committee, if we're starting to do a lot and we want to be sort of aligned with the library, it seems to me, since now we have a place to put our gardens, that we sort of put the, I don't know, that's just, I was thinking, as we move forward with the new library, we sort of are like a part of that in a way.
Yeah.
that-
Yep.
I love that idea. In fact, I just think it's a fantastic idea.
Me
So,
too.
yeah. So,
Okay, well, you know what? I'll do some sketches and I'll come up with some ideas.
that sounds great.
That,
Thank you.
yeah, it just
Yeah.
feels like, then people will see it and they go, oh, that, anyway.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I
Yep.
think if the library, will now start looking, I'm sure there'll be a lot of what they're going to need feedback about different things. Maybe we can get feedback about the gardens can be part of that. Like, are you
Ooh.
interested in a community garden? Would
Mhm.
you use a community garden at the new library? Like Elaine, you're on the Friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just sort of connecting our garden thing with the library in a more, concrete kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
That's great.
Because I noticed on the front page of the Gazette, there was a
Mhm.
mention of the community gardens. I was
There
like,
you
I
go.
oh,
know. Wasn't that nice?
I know, a
Yeah.
little quote right in the front page. It's like,
Yep.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I think there are people that might have been no voters on the library who are pro community gardens.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you get them interested in supporting the library by being community garden people.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
The way there might be people who would use a playground who wouldn't think they were library supporters, and all of a sudden they become library supporters.
Yeah. Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. I bet a lot of that is going to happen. People will find that they're using services that the library offers because they're services we need.
Yeah,
Especially when we have the lending library, that's going to be fabulous. All the
Oh, yeah.
tools and,
right.
things that people don't use every day.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, I know a guy in Leverett who worked on our roof or a chimney recently, and he said, I wasn't a library supporter in Leverett when they talking about it. And he said, now I love it. I go all the time, So
That's a nice testimonial. Yeah.
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 So anyway, I think
Great. Yeah. So it sounds like for the fall, we'll definitely be doing the farm tour, the invasive plants. BZ, you had talked about possibly working with the garden committee about doing a visit to
Yeah.
gardens. Is that something you still are?
Well,
want to
I
be
talked to
doing?
people about it and they were all interested, and that's about as far as I got.
Oh, okay.
They all said, yes, that sounds like a great idea, but I can follow up on that. And
Okay.
there were, there were like 4 or 5 gardens we thought of in Shutesbury that have nice vegetable gardens.
Mhm.
Whether we want to do it in the fall or in the spring is the question, would be.
Yeah.
Vegetable
So,
gardens in the spring are
Nothing.
nothing.
no, the only thing that's good about a spring garden is you sort of see the layout and you see the structure of what goes underneath a garden. If you go in the fall, all you see is you don't see how you
Mhm.
actually do it.
Yeah.
A spring tour might be more helpful for beginning gardeners in that you sort of see the
Mhm.
infrastructure,
Mm.
True.
just
True.
saying, if you're thinking as a new,
Yeah.
I like going in the fall because I get to see, what the results are of all that work. But if you go in the spring, you sort of see, well, this is what you got to, you got to put in a, substructure of,
A shitload of work.
yeah, shitload of work. And the fall's the fun part. So I don't know, I could
Well,
go.
BZ, I wonder, based on that, if it could be a 2-part thing in 2023, right? So you go in the spring and then you come back in the fall.
Right.
Because I like what you're thinking about is, what is it that you want people to take away? I mean, if they're not allowed to take people's delicious tomatoes in fall.
I'll give you some
Right.
zucchini.
I mean, that sort of might be a fun thing though, is sort of like, you go, the spring would be for people to sort of see how it's put together. And then in the end, we have sort of a more party, like here's the,
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, and people could talk about what worked and what didn't work. and-
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's a great idea.
well, anyway, you sort of see it as it's structured, and then you see what happened and what,
Mhm.
instead of
Yeah.
going in the fall, you might think, wow, that'd be easy. I could do that. Look at all this beautiful, and then you're not sort of getting like, actually, this is a lot of work. So, I mean, it
Yeah.
could even, could even be a 3-part series of, beginning, middle, end kind of thing.
Mhm.
I mean, at least for me in my vegetable garden, it's, I replant everything in the middle of the summer so that I have a fall garden.
Mhm.
Where you take everything that was the spring stuff out and you put
Mhm.
in stuff for the fall, like carrots, the root stuff, and the things that will last. So, I mean, the people that and I don't know if you have other people, the people that we were brainstorming about who have good vegetable gardens are Elaine,
Mhm.
John, Zoe, of course, Diane Jacoby, Kelly, the woman who, young woman, she and her husband bought that, they call it the Bill Cosby house, but it's next to Morse Hill up on the,
Yep.
apparently they have a killer garden up there. So, those were the, and
What
of
about,
course
what
there's-
about the one going down the hill from the center of town, the yellow house on the north side?
Yellow house on the north side.
They're farmers down from the
Jade?
library.
Mark
Jade,
Hart's old house?
No, going the other way, going towards.
Oh, yeah.
They sell eggs.
Yeah. That's what's his name? Keith
Yeah.
and Sarah. I could
Yeah.
ask them. I know them.
Mhm. Okay, great. Well, I think the idea of doing two is a wonderful idea. Thank you for organizing that and
Well,
thinking
I
of
haven't
it.
done much. Well, I'm
Well,
collecting.
thinking about it. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
I was just
really-
thinking what would be helpful to somebody.
Yeah.
And what's our timeline for these gardens now that we know we have a garden? What's sort of garden
We have to wait
location?
till the site development has taken place. So once they site the library and everything, and that'll be throughout this year and probably maybe next spring. We might be able to be working on it next spring. We'll have to
Mhm.
see.
Yeah. I heard somebody say fall 2024, but that was just people, talking at we're celebrating the new library. But we should know certainly in the fall what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
But I think any kind of workshops around gardening would be great, whether it's seed saving or whether it's, what do you do with your soil or and now they can, I'm so happy they can water, because I must tell you, those water tanks have been a burden on me.
Oh, yeah,
Because
forget
I
that.
couldn't figure out how we were going to make that really work. I
Yeah.
know that Pelham does, but that has really troubled me. So I'm so
Mm.
thrilled we no longer have to think about water tanks.
Here was another, just garden related, I thought this might be, it's sort of related to having a garden theme to some workshops, but having a tool sharpening, somebody come who
Ooh,
could do,
yeah.
who could sharpen not only tools, but knives. And, they go to like, I've been at farmers markets where a guy sets up,
Mhm.
a grinding tool, and you bring your tools and you pay them a fee and they sharpen your knives and your tools.
That
But
would be great.
yeah, wouldn't that be a
Mhm.
good,
That would be great. Yeah.
anyway, and that's sort of an important thing to do sort of in the off season for,
Mhm.
Maybe that would be a nice fall.
yeah, be good to do in the
workshop
fall.
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Mhm.
I don't know if you
Good.
like that idea, but
I love it.
I think there are a lot of people who will like that.
I also had told Barbara this morning, I had another idea for a workshop. would be bicycle maintenance.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Really
Oh,
good
Elaine,
idea.
that's such a good idea. Who's that?
Yeah.
Isn't there somebody in Amherst who rides their bicycle, like does bicycle repair from their bicycle? Like, am I?
I don't know.
You look into that.
I'm gonna look that up. But if that would be sort of fun to have
Yeah.
someone who's already a mobile.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't know
Some
how-
years,
I'll try Googling that. I don't know what the heck I'm gonna Google, but I will
Yeah.
try.
yeah, some years ago when I was teaching, I used to make the students do community service projects in Worcester. And one group of students wanted to do bicycle repair. And so they just set up on the campus and it was open campus. And so people from the neighborhood were all
Love
coming,
that.
they all came with their bicycles. And so there were both kind of general maintenance things, but also then helping people with specific issues around their bicycles. So they had several people. So that's also a model to think about as opposed to just, picking some
Oh.
issue and then talking about it, but having, if we know several people who have that skill, we could have both kind of a general, here's what you do about, and I don't know enough about bicycles, what the major things are, but then also let people bring their bicycles and get some hands-on help with the problems. It was a huge success. I mean, a huge success. Tons of people came to this thing.
You know what, Barbara, what I love about that is if there's
Mhm.
young people in Shutesbury who can do
Yeah.
that kind of work. And so
Exactly.
bringing in teens or young people as the experts, I think that would be
Yes.
fabulous.
And you know what we could do to add on to that, to augment it a little bit, is how many people have kids who are in their teens who have outgrown their little kid bicycle, and they could come and donate it to somebody else
Ooh.
in town, and they could get a bicycle, and you would get.
Bicycle swap, like they have the ski and skate sale. You could have a
Yep.
bicycle swap. day.
Oh, what a great idea.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, this could be a really wonderful event.
It could be a bicycle, just a whole bicycle event, with-
Bicycle
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we could do it at the school so that,
Mhm.
kids could try the bikes out, riding them and stuff, and we could do bike safety. You could have the police come and do bike safety with helmets and cones and stuff, and how you start and stop, and hand signals and everything. And I think the police can get reduction on cost of helmets.
Oh, great.
Really?
Wow.
I wonder if they could get reflectors too, Elaine.
Ooh, that would be nice.
Yeah,
I think Kristen will be all over that.
yeah.
Maybe you could have a senior center, senior the bicycle, assist. People could bring their assist bikes and people could
Yeah.
try them out, the
Yeah. When I
Yeah,
lived in
there's a
Dedham,
number of people in town that have electric bikes.
I know who has them that Elaine.
Herb Gilmore and Carol Anderson and Chris and Glenn. I'm sure Chris and Glenn
Wow.
would come up and do that.
Barbara's raising her
I have
hand.
an electric
Barbara
bicycle.
has an e-bike.
You do?
I mean,
Yes, I
I'd love
do.
to try one and I've never,
Oh, yeah, it'd be nice to have them.
we have
Yeah.
a senior section of the bike day where the elderly could be in one corner trying out.
You could be in the back lot,
When I lived in Dedham, my kids were little and we were going down the street and they were on their bicycles and they had their helmet and a police car came up and stopped and they were handing out little treats to kids wearing their helmets. So any kid that they saw when they were driving around with helmets, my girls were like so thrilled. They could not get over this. So that would be another thing, if the police were willing to do it, just have a week where, we come up with some little treat that they hand out every time they see a kid on a bicycle. It was really sweet. It was really nice and it made their day.
There's a lot of kids around here that don't use helmets.
I know, then they don't get a treat.
That's
So
my kid, my kid.
Yeah. So that sounds like what, like a spring event?
Yeah.
Well, fall to put your bike away.
Mm-hmm.
For maintenance if people put their bikes away. Some of us don't put our bikes away in the winter.
Mhm.
So yeah, maybe spring.
I'm
maybe
just thinking
spring.
this one sounds like
Yeah.
it'll take a little bit more organization and getting people who will come and help out with all of that. So
Yeah,
the spring might
maybe
be a good
spring.
time.
Let's go
Okay.
for spring.
Now,
Oh, sorry, Barbara, one quick thing. Christine, could
Yeah.
you just write in the minutes that it's Speed and Sprocket Cycling in Northampton? That's the mobile
Okay.
service. Thank you.
great.
Good job, Anne.
I'm sorry, say it again, Speed and Sprocket.
Speed and Sprocket
and then what was the rest of it?
Cycle Works. And they're
Okay.
in Northampton, but they're
Oh, I've
they
heard of them.
program.
Yeah. Great.
So just so that's in the record.
Right.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Oh, right. So last night, I'm sorry, on a Tuesday night, Christine and I were sitting next to each other and Christine said, wouldn't it be great to have a calendar as a fundraiser with the bevy of beauties that live in live in Shutesbury? I mentioned it to Elaine, who immediately thought about whipped cream and stuff like that and sitting naked on a tractor.
I was thinking naked on the tractor. You don't have to really see anything. Do you remember that movie? Do you remember the movie? You
Sorry.
don't have to show things, cupcakes. and-
Exactly, exactly. Let's
My
Wow.
favorite thing about this
I had a
conversation is that
broccoli.
it's being recorded.
Oh, this is great.
But it would make a great fundraiser for the
I've always
library.
wanted to be a pole dancer. I want to like pretend I'm
Oh
a
my
pole
God.
dancer.
Well, that's a recreational committee activity. Pole
Recreation.
dancing.
Kind of recreation.
Maybe we need two calendars, the racy one. And then,
She could do like Christine, you could do the poll of like of the jungle gym or something. We could get
We could have poles in the library, and then we could do pole dancing. Oh, really like that. You remember how well belly dancing went over?
oh my goodness,
God.
we're gonna get quite the reputation. Someone had told me that Mary Ann had done some kind of calendar at one point, but I think, I'm sure there must be a good photographer around who could take some tasteful pictures. And yeah, Christine.
It's Jamie,
Yeah,
Jen's
Malcolm Brown.
husband.
Malcolm Brown.
Am I putting this in the minutes, Christine, about you and pole dancing?
Sure.
In bold.
With your phone number, right?
Wait a minute, we're having way too much fun here.
Oh my goodness. So that sounds like that would obviously have to happen in the fall. And so we can all kind of think about it. And then when we meet in August, and maybe talk to Mary Ann at some point in there too, because if funds were to go to the library from selling it.
Well, the library usually does historic pictures around.
Oh, forget it. Oh, forget it. Yeah, no, we're gonna have a little chit chat about that. Okay. Well, that was pretty much all I had on the agenda for us. It sounds like we've got some really good plans and very doable plans, that none of this sounds like it's going to be particularly difficult for us to manage.
Mhm.
And as people come in with other ideas from outside of the committee, like I said, I really like the idea of saying we welcome ideas, but they have to be ideas that the person is willing to work on, take the lead on, because we can't. I mean, we really can't. And just from what we've talked about, that's a fair amount of stuff that we're going to be organizing. It sounds very doable, but it's a fair amount of stuff we'll be organizing. So, yeah.
Barbara, do you have an update on orienteering?
I do not have an update on orienteering. I was waiting until after the library thing settled down because I really need to talk to Mary Ann about it.
Okay.
And figure out exactly what we want to do. But it sounds like we will be able to do something on a much smaller scale. And I would guess we're going to be needing to look towards the spring. The problem is with the summer, for me to try to be available to him and not be able to talk to all of you just sounds like more than I can do. Mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oops. Sorry, my phone never rings. There we go. No, it's waiting for this meeting. So I think that's all that's on the agenda. Does anyone have anything that I missed?
Next meeting,
Next meeting will be the last Thursday in August,
The
25th.
25th.
the
Yeah,
25th.
25th.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
All right, welcome home, Beezy.
Thank you.
And everybody enjoy your,
When is the grandma date, by the way?
Well, a couple weeks, you never know when those babies want to come, but we've rounded third base and we're heading, we're halfway down the baseline heading towards home. We're actually this weekend, we're going over to do a deep clean of their apartment.
Mhm.
And so what date is her due date?
It's like the 20th.
Wow.
Yeah. She's
I would
very-
actually, can somebody just, do we want to adjourn? Can somebody?
I'll make a
uh,
motion.
move? Okay, second. Okay, and all those in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, so we adjourned at 4:08 PM and I'm turning off the recording.